Suspense builds.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the Miles with Moms podcast. Oh my gosh. I want to start over, but we'll just keep it.
Yeah, we'll just
We
keep
don't got time for that.
Yeah.
We are so glad you guys are here. I am Whitney, one of your co-hosts.
I'm Shanna.
And we got it down because there's only two of us. Usually we're like, okay, who's going next? And we have a special guest on, Kayleigh Schwartz, who is actually one of my athletes that I've coached for. How long have we worked together?
Oh gosh, I think maybe 3 years now. Going on 3.
Oh my goodness.
So
really?
Cool.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's right. That's crazy. That's a lot. 3 years is a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah, it was when my youngest turned 1. Yeah. So just about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yay. I love that. So we're doing something fun for the month of May since it's Mother's Day month. We are having a different mom on each week, and we just kind of want to demystify how they do it. And Kayleigh came to mind because I coach a lot of amazing women, but she especially is one of those people with what she has on her plate every week. I'm just like, how in the world is she finding the time and the energy to do this? Shanna is just from afar is one of those people too, of course, that everybody's like, how? And so we figured, hey, we'll bring her on and learn more about her and how she makes it work. And so we're so glad to have you here. Thank you for making the time.
Yes, when you asked me, I was like,
I know you.
Me? What?
No. Yeah, what? Like, I don't want to go on that train wreck of a show. No, I do not want to be associated with that. No, I'm just kidding. But for those of you who, if you're just tuning in for the first time and you don't know us, we are a podcast for moms who run. And I am looking for my little script that I have that I read every time. Why don't I remember this? I don't know. I'm like Ron Burgundy. And if it's not in the teleprompter, I am not going to know it. So we're a podcast for moms who run by moms who run. And our goal with this podcast is for mother runners everywhere to never have to run alone or feel alone in their mom life struggles or journey to accomplishing big goals. Because guess what? Taking time to take care of yourself and to chase big goals as a mom is not only okay, it's awesome for you and for everything that you are teaching your kids. Sometimes we do swear, but I have a feeling that we're actually going to keep it clean today. But, just a warning, don't have it on in front of your kids because we never actually know what's going to come out of our mouths is the truth. Yep. Actually, Shanna's sometimes the worst. So
it's true. It's true. I've tried to be a little bit better knowing that my mom listens to it, but
is she still listening?
I don't know. I have no idea. But if she is, at least I'm trying. She's like, you're not doing a good job. And I'm just kidding.
She's like, I couldn't take it anymore. And so this podcast episode is brought to you by Lagoon Pillow or Lagoon Sleep. I love my Lagoon Sleep pillow. I've had mine for 5 years now. Shanna, how long have you been sleeping with your pillow?
For 2 years. Yeah.
And you were a quick convert, like as soon as you got it, you fell in love with it?
I'm honestly surprised I haven't gotten every one of my kids one at this point. Like, I think for Christmas, I'll probably do it this year. With how much they fight over mine, like I think they really need their own.
Yeah, I thought of giving it as a gift last year, but then it was tricky because it's like you don't know which pillow.
That's true. Yeah,
but obviously your kids. But so Lagoon Sleep, it's a wonderful pillow. It's totally customized to you. If you have listened to this podcast, you have heard me talk about ad nauseum, like how important sleep is for recovery. I just have noticed firsthand, I recover better. I'm just a better person all around and more patient with my kids. Sleep is like the one thing that you can do that benefits all of everything your body does. So anyways, once I got my Lagoon Sleep pillow, no joke, the first night I slept with it, I slept through my alarm, which I haven't done since I was probably a teenager. I slept that well. Like it's really plush, it's soft, it's comfortable. You take this 2-minute quiz and it tells you what the best pillow is for you. I'm a fox. They have these cute animal names. I'm a fox, and she's an otter. I think my husband was an otter too. He got one too. And then like you can take the stuffing out if it's too plush. And so it's amazing. And if I go anywhere, I take it with me. So if you guys are interested, you can get your pillow. You just go to lagoonsleep.com and you fill out that short quiz, and then you can save 15% with the code MOM. So, treat yourself for Mother's Day. Get yourself a Lagoon Sleep pillow.
Yeah, something that lasts longer than flowers.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. Yeah. So, well, before we get into it, how are you guys doing? How are your weekends? Did you?
Yeah, lots of soccer this weekend. To the season, so just got back from a soccer game not that long ago, which I know you said you were just coming back to, Whitney, from a soccer game. How did yours go? Win or loss?
Good. It was good. And Eleanor she won, and she did her first flip throw in, which was cool.
That's cool.
So yeah. And because she's like a gymnast too, and so she had her gymnastics competition yesterday. So she's now like putting them together.
Way cool.
How was yours? Did you guys win?
No, it was a tough game. The ref honestly blew. It was not a tough game, but my son Finn, he's 9, was like, it was a mentally tough game. So I think hard to like the whole team really had to try and rally, but they played tough. So that's all you can ask for.
It really stinks when the ref is bad.
Yes. Like things that were like players were like ramming into our goalie that I was like,
oh my gosh.
I think you're supposed to not.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Expert, but I think that does cross a line.
Yeah. You're like, where's the ref?
Yeah.
Shanna, no track meets for you this weekend?
No, I don't have another track meet until like a couple weeks. That'll be my last one. But yeah, this weekend we actually enjoyed the pool yesterday. I'm like so sunburned. Like every time I move, my back hurts. I'm like just hold really still. But yeah, I took the kids to the pool yesterday, and then it was a pretty chill weekend for us. So nothing super insane.
You could use that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Because you said you were going to the track meet with your 6 kids by yourself.
Yeah. I don't know if my husband's gonna. So I'm gonna stay at my sister. She's like an hour away from the meet, and then my race is until like 7 p.m. at night, which is, as a mom, like I swear it's so hard, like because you're just ready to go to sleep with them.
Yes.
But yeah, I've been doing a lot of my workouts in the evening so that I can get used to like running fast at that time of the day.
Oh, that's smart.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's my last one, so I'm kind of excited to like roll the table over to something different. So
okay, so you'll end your training cycle there and then start for Chicago, right?
I'm hoping. Yeah, I hope I can pull it off. So yeah.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It's just figuring out like logistics, like for the family. Like I have to figure out who's gonna be with my kids because my husband works Saturday or like the weekend. So yeah, I just have to figure out like all those like logistical things because I won't be taking them this year. But yeah, if I can figure that out. I mean, it's on my mirror. So if it's on my mirror, it's like bound to happen. I'm like,
is it okay?
Yeah.
I just made my hotel reservations last weekend.
Was that stressful?
A lot of them are booked.
Yeah.
I was surprised. And my brother lives in downtown Chicago. So I was like, well, I guess I could always stay with them, but I just don't want to.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Yeah.
I don't know. I just like being in the comfort of my own home.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like not having to tiptoe around somebody else's kitchen and figure out how to use their coffee maker. And I don't want to wake up. They have 4 boys. I don't want to wake up their boys,
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's why. And when anybody asks me, I'm like, well, that's the plan. But I don't know. I'm kind of like superstitious that I never want to say like this is happening because I feel like something then will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
That will make it not happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I haven't done like a big marathon in forever. So,
oh gosh. Yeah. So it's like a little bit of nerves. Do you have any nerves about it?
It seems so far away.
Yeah, you're not, it
So,
hasn't
yeah.
gotten to you yet.
I have like zero expectations right now. I think I only
Yeah.
really get nerves if I have a goal, which
Yeah.
eventually I will hopefully have a goal,
Yeah.
but we'll see, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, well, we're going to talk about goals and not having goals and so forth with Kayleigh
Yep.
because she's like embracing, you know, that sometimes you have to step away from like the marathon and the longer distances, right? Because of everything that you have going on.
Well,
So
Yeah.
before we get into that, I'm going to read about you.
okay.
So do a brief intro. So Kayleigh Schwartz, she is, as I mentioned, one of the wonderful women that I coach. She is so you wrote this to me in first person, and I'm going to try to put it in third person, and I hope I don't mess up. Okay. She is a pediatric nurse practitioner, and she works in the pediatric hematology, oncology, and bone marrow transplant unit, I guess, at the University of Michigan. She's also an adjunct clinical faculty at the University of Michigan School of Nursing, and she teaches undergraduate pediatric clinicals. And I will also add that with that, which I'm sure just listening to that, people are like, wow,
Yeah.
you work like overnight shifts often.
Yes, yes. So it's like two separate appointments. So I have like for ease of like understanding a hospital-based appointment and then like the School of Nursing faculty-based appointment. And so with the hospital-based appointment, it's 0.6 FTE. So like I work X number of shifts per month, but that's like a part-time gig. And then the School of Nursing position is full time during the academic year, but then like summer's off. So with the hospital gig, it's 8 to 9 shifts per month, and then there's a certain number of night shifts that I have to work each quarter.
Okay.
Yes. So my schedule each week is different, which is
It's very different. Yeah.
interesting. Some weeks is really nice,
Yeah.
and other weeks it's like this is horrendous.
What
Yeah.
does your husband do again?
He is a pharmacist. So we live in a really small town, and he does community pharmacy at like the only pharmacy in our town. So
Okay.
Busy.
That's cute. Yeah. So you live in Marshall, Michigan. So that's a small town. I guess outside of Ann Arbor.
yeah, it's near like Battle Creek. I'm gonna use the Michigan hand, although I guess
The hand.
so we are like a little southwest, right?
Uh-huh.
And then Ann Arbor's more like metro-y.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know Michigan too well. Like my brother has a house on Lake Michigan, but it's wait, where's Chicago? Chicago over here?
Yep, more that.
Yeah, it's over by Chicago. Okay, sorry. So you have 3 boys, 3, 6, and 9, 2 dogs, a cat, 6 chickens, and some fish that you always forget about because they are your husband's responsibility.
Yeah.
So, your running history. You have been running since you were 10 years old. You did cross country and track. I don't know. Now I'm talking to you. Now I'm like, Kayleigh, this is what you did. This is what Kayleigh did, listeners. I need to get my act together. Okay, so she ran cross country and track throughout middle and high school, and then she did club cross country in college. She enjoys signing up for races to give her goals to work towards, but lately she's really just been enjoying running for the joy of it, which I love. She would love to get into trails and longer distances because she feels like longer distances at a comfy pace is more her jam than shorter distances, the 5K being a personal form of torture, which you've been tackling though. I mean, that's what we've been, working on right now.
I love it.
And I know you said like back in the fall when you were picking that, you were like, I hate the 5K, so I feel like I should probably work.
I'm a sick. I don't know. Sometimes
It is hard. I mean,
It is hard.
For me, it's the 10K. 10K is oof. Anyways, so balancing running goals, career goals, and personal growth and family priorities can definitely be tricky. So the timing of the goals are TBD, but in general, she thinks of running as a longevity goal and not something that needs to be accomplished in a certain matter of time. And right then and there, you just succinctly put together like how to have a healthy, happy, long-term relationship with running just by that outlook. Like you sidestep injury, you sidestep comparison, just being like, I'm in no rush. I'm just here to have fun, and it'll unfold as it unfolds. So there you go. Drop the mic.
Yeah.
We're done, right?
Yeah. Okay. So my first question to you is, there have been many times where you have worked like back-to-back overnight shifts. Or at least to me it seems like it. And somehow, and your job is hard, like emotionally hard, if not just like mentally and physically. Because you're working with sick kids and you're a mom. So I don't know how you do that. But and then you somehow find the energy to still run after working these shifts. And I've always wondered, how do you do that?
Yes, so I think it honestly varies week by week. And I think this year I've just been more like in tune with my emotions and like giving myself grace of like, I feel really anxious today, or I feel really sad, and is running going to enhance this or like make this worse? Because sometimes it does make things worse, and you're like, oh, that did, and now I feel even worse than I did before I went for a run. And other times it's a way to like be like a little therapy session. So I think it really is dependent on the week and the day and the moment. But another factor I think is also I have allowed myself to come to terms that I am not a morning runner. And I think we see all of these like Instagram accounts that are so aesthetically beautiful of like my 5 to 9 before my 9 to 5, and they've got, their fancy little coffees and their supplements that they're taking in the morning, or like the moms who get up at that ungodly hour, and God bless them for doing that.
I've talked about that a lot. Yeah.
I can't do it. I feel physically ill and like don't feel good for the rest of the day. And I don't know why I push myself to do it, because luckily I have a supportive partner that like, it's like, yeah, go for a run, and I'll finish dinner with the boys, and like you go do your time. So we have like a nice evening thing where like I start dinner. My husband Matt will like take over dinner. He'll eat with the boys while I'm running, and then I come back, eat my dinner, and then we do like, bath or whatever the bedtime routine is. And I think like allowing myself to not feel bad that I'm not a morning runner is totally fine. It's fine because the miles are the same if you do them in the morning or the evening. So
That's so true. Shanna had to call me out on that because I was feeling guilty that I was like, I don't have to wake up anymore. And then for whatever reason, I feel bad about that. Like, I'm spoiled or something. And she was like, Whitney, like,
which is wild that we think that way, right? Like, you did do the 3:30 a.m. grinds at some point, and it's like, now that you have the flexibility, which we're all trying to get to that point, right? Like, we're all just like, we see other people that have finally made it through those early mornings and are now transitioning to mid mornings or evenings, and it's like bless their hearts, they made it. Like, that gives me hope, So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, I just don't understand why anybody would shame a mom for getting like 5 or an hour extra of sleep or 30 extra minutes of sleep if they can. Like, that's so wild,
It is so wild. Yeah. I love how you shared how you and your husband split the duties. I think it's hard because a lot of people don't have that, or they don't want to ask for it. Or they feel like they shouldn't ask for it. I don't know. We did this one Instagram post, or Shanna put it together like a month ago, where we shared our schedule, and we shared when we exercise, and we got a lot of like kind of hateful comments where people were like, I would die for that schedule, or just making it seem like they felt very trapped and boxed in with what they had to do, like they were just like, we cannot make time to run. And so I love how you split it with your husband, and because it shows that like it's not going to look one way, and you can be creative, and like asking for help is okay. We have such a hard time doing that.
Yes. And it does take that creativity piece. So like sometimes my runs are around the soccer field while my son's at practice, or it's on the treadmill at 8 p.m. at night and I'm watching a show and that's like my me time. Or I've like stopped feeling bad of like, well, we should have this like sit down dinner every single night. Yeah, great. But like honestly, the kids also have sports 3 days a week. So we do that anyway. So like why am I sacrificing a time that works best for me where I feel physically ready to like go out the door and like have a good run and be present for me, for something that we don't do regularly anyway.
Yeah.
And I think also like with my husband, just knowing how important that time is for me and like, honoring that has been super helpful. And even like our babysitter knows of like, hey, if you need any extra hands to like watch the kids while you go for a run this summer, let me know. So it takes finding a community and like support, and I don't take that for granted at all. So I'm very fortunate that I have key people to count on.
Did your husband know that, or did you ever have to tell him like, hey, this is really important to me?
I know. So we've been together since I was 15, 16.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
he's just known the crazy from the get-go. So,
I love that.
yeah.
So the secret is to marry your high school sweetheart is
Yeah.
Yeah, to have a Matt in your life who, it's funny because sometimes I do get that like hallucination thought that like, okay, I will wake up early. I'm going to do it. I'm going to set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to wake up and get my long run done before you go to work. And then my alarm goes off and he hears me turn it off and he's like, "You not going?" And I'm like, "No." And then he'll just pull me into snuggle. He's like, "It's okay." So it just, he gets me and knows how important it is to me. So yeah.
Well, especially being a night worker too, like you have night shifts on top of that, like your sleep is so inconsistent when you get to sleep, and so I don't blame you for like a second. Like if that was like I did CNA work and I did 12-hour shifts in the hospital, and I was full time, and that it was hard. Like you come home and you're so tired. Like mornings are almost like PTSD, like after being a night shift. So like I think the schedule that you have is great, and I think it's good for other people to hear that like, hey, it is okay to like lean on your family, because I think what Whitney said, like I struggled with that. Like I think that's why it took me so long to get back into running, as long as it did into motherhood, because I can't tell you how many times I told my husband where I watched either like one of my older sisters marathon train with kids or others marathon train. I'm like, why would anybody do that in motherhood? I don't even have time for that. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, no, I think I just had so much guilt on leaning on my husband or asking my husband to take over, that I wish I would have understood that it was okay sooner. Because I think I could have, like, it would have not have been easy, but I think I could have trained more competitive like I am sooner had I had known it was okay to ask my spouse. But if you don't see that often growing up, right? Like I think a lot of people, especially those generations where the moms did do everything and the dads were off at work or maybe they're military or whatever, it's hard to feel like you need to ask for something different when you become an adult because you're used to seeing maybe your mom do it all. And so for me, I thought, if I'm not doing it all like my mom did it all, then I'm failing as a mom, and it's kind of crazy because social media doesn't help with that. They're always like, wow, your schedule looks so dreamy. And it's like, why? Because today I don't look like my head's about to fall off. Like, but yesterday did, but today looked a little more chill. And it's like, why do we crucify moms when they lean on their spouses or they lean on their family or they lean on their neighbors? And then we say, wow, what a dreamy life you have. And it's like, it does take a community, whether it's you're somebody that you're paying for like a babysitter, or whether it's your spouse that you're saying, hey, I really need you to pick up here where I can't, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well,
but
I think this whole like modern day motherhood trope is such a mental, I'm going to break the swear jar. It's such a mental fuckery of like,
yes,
yes, I love it with you.
yes.
have a successful career. You can eat healthy. You're going to have quality time with your children, the best relationship with your partner. You're going to be a great friend who goes and does all this stuff. And you're going to be killing your fitness goals. And in reality, you really can't do it all. And one of the attendings that I work with, so shout out to you, Dr. Yannick. I don't know that he would listen to Miles of
Well, he is now.
Yeah.
mentioned. He told me once that like life, and that I've just stuck onto this phrase, and I think that's like how I have a decent perspective on stuff of like juggling chaos, is that life is full of juggling balls, and some of those balls are glass balls and some of those balls are rubber balls. And the glass balls, if you drop them, they'll shatter, and the rubber balls, they'll bounce and you're going to be able to catch them when you're ready. And so like figuring out what are your glass balls and what are your rubber balls. And so for me, my glass balls are going to be my relationship with myself, my like, belief systems, my values, my relationship with my children, my relationship with my husband, and then like friends and family. And it took me a long time as a runner to loosen that from thinking it was part of that glass ball of, okay, if I'm not running X number of races or miles, or if I'm not getting these times that I want, then that glass ball is going to shatter. But in reality, it's like a rubber protector on that ball, where sometimes it helps me get a better grip on that ball and other times it weighs it down, and I need to like take that rubber covering off because it's throwing off my juggling act. And the best part is that if I set it down, it's going to bounce right back up and I'll be able to catch it when I'm ready. And the same thing goes for like career stuff of like, yeah, I'm able to like, right now I'm having major career things this year and it's all been good stuff. It's been heavy stuff, but that means that like my fitness goals, I've definitely had to like let bounce a little bit. And I know that soon that's going to shift and my career stuff is going to be slowing down or getting in a smooth set. And I'll be able to put that ball down and pick that rubber fitness ball back up. So I feel like in general, that's just kind of what I think of like how to balance it all, is that like you can't balance it all. You're going to lose contact with friends and be like, oh shoot, I haven't talked to my friend in 3 weeks. I have to like call them back. Or, I'm late on certain deadlines, or my laundry room that I just keep shutting the door. I'm like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep pushing it in there. Like that's all
Yeah.
done eventually, but you can't do it all in once because you're just one person. And nobody was meant to do it all because previous generations had these large communities. And now we have to make our own community, right? It's not the same as like our parents' generation or the generation before that, where it was a bunch of neighborhood kids and open doors, or people who were able to stay home and have that like, I guess, kind of home caretaker role. So parenting just looks way different than it did before. And there's more demands that I feel like come with it in our generation than maybe, probably I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but from before. So that's just my opinion.
That's true. I mean, I think that's part of where the guilt comes from, is we're still trying to apply these old school notions that you have to sit down at dinner every night as a family, or the woman, she's not allowed to do things for herself. Like the mom has to do it all and can't ask for help. Like we're still trying to apply those to today, and today is just so different. How do you maintain that like analogy in your life? Because I would imagine that, I mean, it's tested every day because there's just this onslaught that we have to be all things all the time. I think you mentioned to me maybe one time or early in the fall, you talked about like social media, maybe how you were stepping away, or that was like behind you stepping away from the longer distance goals because of everything that you were seeing on social media. um Correct me if I'm wrong, but like are there things that you do to protect yourself so that you remember that you are upholding your glass balls and the rubber balls can wait their turn?
So I think you guys have mentioned it before on a similar like on several episodes ago about like when does a goal serve you and when does it actually like hurt you that you're trying to reach this goal, and like what's the cost?
Mhm.
And so I think there's like a couple things that can factor into when a goal is serving you and when it's really just hurting you and your growth and your development. And um, honestly, I feel like it's hard because yeah, I would love to, Boston was just this past week and you see everybody like, it'd be so cool. I would love to do Boston and like, I could get there one day. And I just know that
Yeah.
season in my life that I can do it. And honestly speaking, I feel like I'm still a work in progress in that kind of area. But with my oldest son, he was recently diagnosed with Tourette's back in the fall. And with that has come like a lot of OCD and anxiety components to it, where it's almost like he puts these like really high expectations on himself. And if he isn't performing the way that he thinks he should, you just see this downward spiral, which is kind of what happened at a soccer game today, where he just got so mentally in his head. And it was just a tough game to watch. And it's
so hard.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like, as much as I hope that I'm not modeling that, I know 100% that he is seeing that from me at some point, right? Because I identify exactly the way that he feels. Like I can see the look on his face, I can see the angst that he has of just how frustrated he is. And in a way, like helping him work through those emotions and like giving him the love of like, it's okay to be frustrated, but like, what's the worst thing that happens if you fail? Or like, why do you think that you're not doing good? Or that like soccer doesn't define you, just like running doesn't define me. You know what I mean? Like, I love to run, but that's not the only thing about me. And that in the running community, this is like probably not a great thing to say, but like, I don't think that being a runner is a good identity to always have.
Oh yeah.
Forbid that you can't run one day, then where does that leave you? And so I think you really need to know like that it's a passion, and it's great to be passionate about it and to be a very active person who loves movement, but that's not the only thing that defines you.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I learned because, like, right when, I was going all in and starting my business and everything was when I couldn't run for a very long time. And yeah, and I mean, I feel you with my kids both have those types of tendencies, and it's so hard. And it's so hard, even just as a parent, like the whole, praising, you don't want to praise their accomplishments, but then how do you, and you want them to care, and they have these passions, and how do you keep it from becoming what they think their self-worth is rooted in? It's really a tricky balance. I talk with my daughter, especially. She's definitely a perfectionist and super hard on herself, and yeah, we talk about that a lot. And it's nice because she's 11 now, so she can understand, but it's still like it's not entrenched in her yet. And
Yeah.
I don't know, you can pay lip service to it, but it's really hard. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's really important, as you said, like that you're modeling it, that running is something, it's a part of Kayleigh, but it's obviously not all of you.
Yeah. And I think it's like definitely let's celebrate accomplishments and like whatever that accomplishment looks like, but just being cautious that like you did that accomplishment, you're not that accomplishment.
You are not that. Yeah.
So that it's a very separate thing of like you did it because you are driven, you are smart, you are kind, you are hardworking. You at that time, you are not that goal or whatever the sport or thing is.
Mhm.
Middle child is an artist. Like, you're not that painting, but that painting turned out
Yeah.
beautiful because you put the effort and time and consideration into it. And so that's what makes you uniquely you, not
Mhm.
that you are your passion.
Mhm. Your kids are lucky to have you.
Yeah.
I'm so depends on the day.
It's
That
true
is
though.
true.
It's so easy, especially like you, it sounds like you grew up kind of running, right? Like running was in part of your life at a very young age. I think 10 is what she said, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I relate a lot to that because I feel like I grew up with this idea that like my running accolades were me. They created who I was. And that when people would ask like about me, I'd be like, well, I'm a runner and this is my times. And it's like you list all these like accolades that you've done in the sport and you're like why am I defining myself by that? Like why can't we define ourselves by like I'm a happy person, I love to cheer people on? Like why isn't that part of like how we explain ourselves? Like why does it have to be accolades that are like outward outward accomplishments? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really good the way you explain that because you're separating yourself from those accomplishments. And though you're proud of them, they don't create everything that you are. They're just a piece of what you've accomplished in your life, and they're not you. And I love that. Like taking your self-worth as not tied to accomplishments of a race time, finish goal, or anything like that keeps the sport so healthy.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we see a lot on social media. A lot of people, they don't know how to separate the two. And maybe it's because they were never taught how. I don't know. It's quite a battle to get through. I'm sure a lot of us have struggled that path and that journey to separate ourselves from that. But it's so important what you shared. Like I hope people hone in on that and like really truly understand like that's what keeps the longevity in the sport too. Like it keeps it healthy, it keeps it fun, it keeps it exciting, and it keeps it as a hobby and not a chore or an obligation, you know?
I feel like, yeah, I think social media maybe because people own it as their identity on social media, it accentuates that fact.
Yeah.
And so even if it wasn't, maybe it's kind of been mulled over, but now that between Strava and Instagram, it's so in your face and everybody's times and what races they're doing. It seems like people are running races like every week. It's become a rat race, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um I do I said this before on the podcast where I was like, I hearken back to the time when you guys were like, a hearken, Whitney? Is that what? To when there wasn't Strava and when there wasn't
Yeah.
Instagram. And sometimes, like every once in a while, I'll get I used to post every day
Yeah.
on Instagram, and I would get like this fatigue of like, oh my God, I gotta be out there. And like running is just so, I love running, but it's so like, it became a chore of like I'm writing about it online, and I never with coaching. I love coaching. I'm like writing
Yeah.
about it online, and I have to be on Instagram, and I have to put myself out there, and it's exhausting. I
Yeah.
don't know. Shanna, do you ever feel that way
Oh,
as
absolutely. I mean, there's times that I like people probably don't notice it because we do a lot of cross promoting, like with our,
Mhm.
our social media and stuff with our podcast. But there's been like times the last few weeks where I've even like my engagement has gone down. I posted a lot less as frequent just because like I'm going through a busy season right now of adjusting with my husband's schedule and my kids. And yeah, it's a hard to keep up with, especially when you throw on your personal websites and you're coaching athletes. Like you truly are like there's no breather from the sport, and
Mhm.
it becomes a lot for sure. And I think what you're doing, Kayleigh, with stepping away from some of these things, like you talked about Boston, like, wow, like I know I can do it. And the cool thing is about social media, because I think we talk about the negatives, but there's also positives, right? But there's this girl, the stiletto runner, I think is what her
Mhm.
name. Her name is Shayna, I think, not Shanna. But anyways, she's out there and she's in her 50s and she's Boston qualifying. And I love that. Like I love seeing that side because like us as moms, it gives me hope that like, hey, if we have this dream, it's okay. Like it could come later on and we
Oh
never
yeah.
know. And I love that you're able to know when your season is time to go for it and when your season is time to maybe put it on hold and not give up on it, but just like put it on hold and, keep it in the back of your mind. But right now you got to juggle those glass balls that you talked about. Right. And I love that. Like, I think that is such a healthy approach. And I really, really do hope people listen to this because it's hard to make that mature decision to be like, I'm not marathon training right now, even though it seems like everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes. I feel that FOMO sometimes when, especially London just happening. I'm like, man, that would be so fun. But you know your season better than anyone. And at the end of the day, it's like, what's worth the risk of going after it? And then when is the time to go after it? And that's something we all have to make that judgment on ourselves, you know?
I used to think it was cheesy when people were like, I have my goal for running is longevity in the sport. And I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
really? But now, like I'm like, that is my goal. Like, that's the
Yes.
secret to happiness is we're
Is.
not in a rush. Like, yeah, you can do Boston another time, you know, like you
Yeah.
don't have to do it by a certain. Yeah, I ran a friend of mine, she's almost 60. We ran
Wow.
together on Friday and we both ran the same race on Saturday morning. And I was just like, as long as I have you, she's almost 60. I'm like, as long
That's
as I
so
have
cool.
you in my sights, I know I'm good. She's so fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, she's Olympic trials qualifier and
So
like, I
cool.
mean, yeah, but I'm just like, and she runs with all of us. We're, you know, in our 30s and our 40s, our 20s, and she runs with all of us. And it's just like, yeah, there's no like running keeps you young, you know,
Yeah.
despite what they say. Okay. Before we keep putting Kayleigh in the hot seat and asking her questions, Shanna, I think you have something you'd like to talk about.
Yeah. So thanks to Happy Curves for sponsoring this episode. I actually got their products like a few weeks ago, I think. And we're actually, before we hopped on here, we're actually joking around about it that like we are falling in love with this product. We actually all use it pretty religiously. You know, Whitney talked about her Netherlands regions the other episode.
Netherlands regions.
Nether regions. Netherlands. People are like, Netherlands. Hey, that's me. No, just kidding. Her nether regions, and I can't stop laughing about that thought because I used this product, the anti-chafing stick, on my nether regions just like 2 days ago on my run. It was Saturday and Friday. Because those middle seams in like spandex shorts, I'm sorry, you guys, like I've never been a middle seams person, but I have so many of them because so many brands think it's a good idea on females. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, you have babies and some things change down there. And so I used some of this and I usually come back with a little bit of chafing there and like right underneath like my armpits, like right here, especially during long events. Which is such a weird area, but
It is. Yeah, and I always get mine like center, like
yeah, right here on your rib.
cage.
Yes, for my sports bra. Yeah, I get that too. And so I've been using this in those areas. Normally I'm like just go through it, like let it like chafe, whatever. Don't do anything about it. And lately I've just been like, if I want to stick with any of this long run stuff or endurance stuff, like I gotta take care of myself. And so anyways, I tried it out because they gave it to me and it's awesome. Like it really is a great anti-chafing cream. They have all sorts of other stuff too. They have the Tahitian vanilla, which Whitney talked about last week. And it's great. It's all over deodorant. And then they have their powder, which I haven't tried this one.
Yeah. Did you get the poofy thing?
Yes.
It
I'm
applies
surprised
very
my
nicely.
kids haven't gotten a hold of this because they like play with all my makeup. So
Yeah, I'm surprised Eleanor didn't take mine, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used that before. And like because it's getting steamy here and I used it.
Oh, I know. With your humidity. Do you get like a lot more chafing with the humidity too?
It's just sweaty. It's
Yeah.
just really wet and sweaty. And then, you know, like, especially when you come back and you can't change your clothes right away. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. My husband is singing. He sings the dinner chow time for our dogs. So if people, for 15 years, because Riley's our 15-year-old. I am not going to take out the background noise on that one because everybody needs to hear how Jake sings to our dogs when he feeds them.
Yeah, you need to keep it. But yeah, anyway, we all love the Happy Curves. It's great. It's sold on Amazon, which is super mom friendly for all those that shop on Amazon. And then we have a code that gives you 10% off. It's called Miles Mom 10. And that will give you a little bit of a discount. So definitely check it out. I've seen it actually quite a bit all over, a lot of people using it. So it's like feels kind of cool. I feel like we're like ahead of the times.
Yeah, I've noticed it
I'm behind
too.
the trend.
Yes, for real. Okay, so my question to you, Kayleigh, my next question to you is, I am sure you have people who ask you like, well, how do you do it? Or my schedule's just too hard. What advice do you give them?
I would say being intentional with your time when you have it. So just getting to like the nitty-gritties of like how does it look in a, I'm going to say typical week, and using like, I'll give an example of like when I'm day shift all one week and then when I have like those mixed night shifts rotated in. So on Tuesdays and Wednesdays is when I teach, and then my hospital appointment job with the oncology team and bone marrow transplant team, I have like a rotating schedule with. And so those aren't like set days. So it could be like I work, Thursday, Friday, or I work Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it ends up shaking out to be. I typically like to block my time. So I'll do Mondays off and home with my youngest, which he has a whole song called Mama and a Jude Day that he loves. So I try to do Mama and a Jude Day. And then Tuesday, Wednesdays, I teach, and Thursday, Fridays, I will usually be like on my primary team, or it'll be like the weekend that I work. And my commute to work is about an hour and 20 minutes. So
Oh, wow.
the days that I
Oh my God.
were there from, I'm there since until 4, so I have to leave my house around like 4:30 in the morning. And then I usually get back like right around 5:30. And then when I'm working with the oncology team, we do 12 and a half hour shifts. And so it's usually like 6 to 6:30. So 6 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. So similar time of waking up and leaving my house by like 4:30. And then usually I get home after like sign out, and traffic is weirdly busy at that time, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
But that can vary. And sometimes it's 8 p.m. And then recently I got stuck in traffic and didn't get home until 10 p.m. and just wanted to cry. It was terrible. So knowing that, I know that I don't have energy the days that I am working oncology and bone marrow transplant. I just know that for a fact. It's a longer day. It's a lot more, I feel like mentally and emotionally taxing for me. Versus when I'm with students, it's almost like rejuvenating and really fun, because I'm visiting like all different units of the hospital. And so it's working with different populations that are kind of fun for me. So I feel like I have more energy. So I will typically have those be like my run days. And I run 4 days a week right now, which has worked really well for me. My lovely coach will give me
Yeah.
each days as like a speed day and then a long run day. And then I kind of shuffle that based off of how the work week looks. And so I try not to do a speed session day on days that I work, or if I do, it's going to be on a day that I teach, and it'll be in the evening time. So usually like 7, 8 p.m. ish. And then if I have night shift, that complicates things. So night shift, I will always exercise the day I go into that night, but I don't exercise usually on my flip day. So say I'm like working Monday night, Tuesday night, and I come off Wednesday morning, I will work out Monday during the day and then not do anything Tuesday or Wednesday. And those are
So smart.
whether that's like yoga, or if I'm able to like take a walk in the hospital and like put an earbud in and get a mile or two walking the hallways, creeping people out, then I'll do. Um, but I just know that like I only get probably like 5 hours of sleep, and then that first day I'm up for over 24 hours. So it's not worth it. I'm gonna feel like
Yeah,
how much I do. So
yeah.
yeah,
It seems like so intention and self-awareness, I feel like,
Yeah.
are your two secret ingredients to your secret sauce.
yeah,
And then I guess like forgiveness or giving yourself grace when it doesn't happen, and not beating yourself up or like obsessing over it, and knowing that
Yeah. I'm sure
it is what it is.
you guys, being as talented as you are and like coaching as much, that like you probably know that rigidity is like your least favorite friend. That if you are, the more rigid you are, the more things tend
Yeah.
to crumble. And so if you
Yes.
can be flexible and like, all right, it wasn't perfect this week, but guess what? Next week I have more time and I'm gonna nail it, next week with my schedule. So yeah, flexibility is huge.
I love that you have like 4 days a week of training too, because then you have more flexibility in your week to decide, like, if you do come home at 10 p.m. at night, right? Because of the traffic or whatever,
Yeah.
you have a longer shift, or maybe it takes longer to report or whatever. You can come home later and be like, okay, well, I actually have technically 3 other days I can kind of rotate to decide if I can move this workout or this run elsewhere. And I think that's so good to hear, because I feel like we see a lot of run streaks on social media, and we see a lot of people that train 6 days a week, 7 days a week, and I think what you're doing is showing that, like, hey, you can still accomplish your goals by doing a little bit less, because not only are you allowing your body to recover better because of your stress factors outside of running, your job, your family life and things like that, but you're also allowing yourself to have the longevity and the joy of still being able to tackle a week's worth of training and not feel overwhelmed by it. So you're able to show up more consistently because of that. And I think, yeah, I love that. I hardly ever hear people train 4 to 5 times a week. I think it's not talked about enough. And you're clear evidence of that. Clearly, like, you've been training, with Whitney for 3 years. That's a long time to be so, like, to hammer that out with the schedules that you have, and that's super cool to hear.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because it is so true. I think that is a key reason why you haven't had any huge layups in the time that we've been together. I know you fell that one time in Chicago, down, and you hurt your back. And so that was non-running related, it was non-illness related.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, knock on wood. And I think it's because, yeah, you're not rigid. Like, I know that I dealt with injuries because of rigidity, which
You
a
too.
lot of times is like rooted in fear or insecurities, and like, you trust yourself, yourself. And I think that, that just goes such a long way. And so just being flexible, and yeah, and you are like, I think the only athlete, I have one other that you're allowed to like move things around, because I know that you're so self-aware
Yeah.
that you're not going to put yourself in a bad spot. Whereas with others, it's like there may be a long run and then a VO2 max workout the next day or something, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
That's bad idea, Jeans. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't have a ton of oversight on you, because I know that you know what you're doing, and you know your body and your schedule and everything that you have on you. So, and that's really key, is just being honest with yourself and not trying to be influenced by other people or influencers that you see around you, right?
Definitely.
Um, so do you have any other words of wisdom for the moms who feel like it's too hard to add that one more thing?
Yeah, I would say take it season by season, and that if running does feel like it's one more thing, then it probably is right now, unless it's something that's something that you can't stop fixating about, of like, man, I really wish I was out there and like doing something. Or like, if you find yourself following all of these, like browsing all of these social media pages of like, look at everything that they're doing, then that's probably like an inner need that is manifesting in ways of like, okay, then let's figure out a way to get this done. But if it's not your season right now, that like, running is a rubber ball, it will bounce and you'll be able to catch it when you're ready. But if it's causing you to throw off your balance, then it's time to set it down, because it's not serving you. And I think just like being creative with your schedules, if you are able to, finding support where you can, whether that's like mom sharing, if you have like a mom friend of like, hey, will you take the kids for half an hour while I go, squeeze out a 30-minute run, and then I'll take them. I have a friend that we do that all the time as well.
Oh, that's great.
But like
That's
mom
awesome.
swapping, if you have a babysitter that you are able to use, if you have any family around, and then also just knowing if you have a partner, that it's their children too. Like they are also equally responsible. And there are things that like, we talk about wanting to raise our kids to be better than our generation. And how am I modeling it if I can't let my husband take over and do things? I'm like, no, I have to do it all. Then that's not modeling to my boys that, like, yeah, your dad is capable. He can also cook. Is it as good? No, but he's really good on the grill.
Yeah.
Got different ways to problem solve than what I do, and like to learn from other sources. So I think letting go of some of that control too is helpful.
You were so wise.
Yeah.
That's such great advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. And I learned so much, and I just love how clearly you put everything. I think, Shanna, we can probably just be done with the podcast altogether because all of the wisdom was just in that last minute, I think.
Right there.
I think we need to have her on every mom hack
I know.
episode we need to talk about, because my little Caesar pizza is not cutting it with her expertise over here.
Oh. We definitely have had McDonald's like 2 nights in a row. So healthy
I love
eating,
that.
rubber ball. I will catch it when I'm ready.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I love that.
I love
I'm just
that.
going to do anytime my husband, if he's like, hey, wait, have you gone to the grocery store? I'm like, that's my rubber ball. And I'm just not ready for it yet. Like, the laundry's not done. It's my rubber ball. Actually, nobody ever talks to me about the laundry. Well, my kids do because they need things washed every day.
Yeah.
But, okay, Shanna, you have a shout out, right?
Yes, I do. Let me pull it up real quick.
Sorry, we went out of order this time.
You're okay. We just were so eager to get to Kayleigh's story. So, which, by the way, Kayleigh, just before I go into this, like, I am so inspired by you. Like, your schedule sounds so exhausting and so hard. And like, the career field that you're in is so rough, but I'm sure so rewarding at the same time. And anyways, I just want to say my appreciation for what you do. And yeah, I know there's a lot of working moms that listen to our podcast, and I'm sure it's going to be so comforting. Like, I get chills when you were talking, because I know a lot of people are looking for like that example, where there are other moms that are doing it, and you're doing it in such a healthy manner, in such a healthy way, and with joy. And it's clear that it's been a part of your life for a while. And I just hope other moms could see, like, hey, I can do it in small doses. Like, I don't even have to show up 4 days a week. I can show up 2 days a week. And if she can do it, I can do it. So anyways, I just wanted to,
Thank you for calling that, because you're right, because I'm thinking about some of the responses that we got, and they're in a tight spot, but it's like, they maybe, if they hear what Kayleigh said, they think, well, then I'm missing out on time with my kids. But it's like, but it's only a few nights a week. It's not every day, it's, I guess sometimes we think we have to, it's
jump
like,
all in. Yeah.
Yes. And you don't have to jump all in, and jumping all in, as you said, I mean, that can just lead to things crumbling.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So our shout out is from Amy. I did not get her last name, so I apologize. But Amy just completed her first 10 km 5 months ago and decided if she can run a 10 km, she can run a half marathon. Amy is a spouse to a military husband who is deployed quite a bit. She literally carries the load at home after most of her training being accomplished via the treadmill and being 3 weeks out from her first marathon while still solo parenting. She wants to let mothers know that they are worthy of their goals. She wants moms to know that her training has not been perfect, but she's been doing the best she can with the season she's in. Some days look like broken up runs and workouts, and other weeks she gets it all in. She said, never count yourself out before you give yourself a chance at a fair attempt. That hit me so hard when I read that, because I was like, I do that often before races. I'm like, I don't know if it's marathon season for me. I don't know if I could do this race. And then you get on the start line and you start running and you're like, this is my season, So very cool. I love that. She said running has been the best thing she picked up for her mental sanity, and is grateful that even her kids get to tag along every now and then via stroller, bikes, or next to her treadmill. Amy,
I love that. You are awesome.
Go get her. So
seriously, I mean, like, she could easily just not do it,
Yeah.
And it's the whole, it's not going to be perfect. Like, you cannot wait for things to be perfect because it never will be. And then it'll
Yeah.
never happen.
Yep.
So you just make it work the best you can, and it's messy, and we all do it, right?
Yep.
When we set those goals, it's broken up, you miss the cool down, you don't get to
Yes.
finish the workout. Yeah. For some reason, Kayleigh, I just remembered how you told me like a couple weeks ago you were on the treadmill dying, and I think I gave you a workout with like 30-second rest in between the intervals. I don't remember. And and your son came in and he was like, "Mom, what are you doing?" And you were like, "Whitney told me to do this."
So,
Oh, that's so funny.
800 workout this past did not go well. And at one point, I was the last rep. I like keeled over my neighbor's yard and was like on hands and knees. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yes.
And I just
You say
like that would be an interesting view for cars driving by. And instead of like getting frustrated, I started laughing because I'm like, this really looks ridiculous. I thought it would help my anxiety. It didn't actually. Make a little.
Well, just remember in those situations, especially if there's like extenuating factors of stress or sleep, or it's humid all of a sudden, go by effort,
Yeah.
not by the
Yeah.
pace.
No, the effort
Or
they're hard. They're
yeah,
so hard. I hate them. It makes me want to crawl away from speed every time.
says the 1500.
Correct.
I
runner.
know. I don't know what I'm doing to myself. That's the problem. Unwell.
I mean, we can make a case for or against, I think, any distance, really. Like, there's no cupcake case.
There's not.
Wait,
Y'all suck.
distance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the 100-meter, maybe. Although then I would say, like, I wouldn't get to my top speed until it's over for me.
I would be like, I would still be at the start line when they were finished. So
Be true. There's no way.
no, 100 meters, absolutely not. My husband could crush me in 100 meters. We've tried
Yeah.
it multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah. I told my husband, I'm like, that's the only distance you could beat me in.
Yeah. So I'm like, give me 150 and maybe I get you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we go, I'm going to read a review and then ask our listeners to leave a review because we love them. And I think our audio has been better. We got like 2 bad reviews because of our audio, but I think it's been better. Watch, and then this one's going to be like just dogs barking, husband singing, and yeah. Okay. This is from Morgan Walker. She says, I love your podcast. I always save the newest episode for my long runs. I just listened to the most recent episode, and you talked about sharing goals. I am currently training for a half marathon on May 4th. Ooh, so coming up. Yeah. With a goal of running under 150. My current PR is 157 from 6 years ago. So it's an ambitious goal that scares me a little. I signed up at the beginning of December after losing my dad unexpectedly the day after Thanksgiving. Oh, that's so sad. In the midst of grief and trying to create holiday magic for my toddler, I needed a goal for myself. So thanks for keeping me company on all the miles. That is awesome. So Morgan, if you're listening, make sure you let us know how it goes. We will be rooting for you. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. So yeah, and keep sharing your goals with us. Also, don't forget, we have our secret podcast on patreon.com/mileswithmomspodcast. Shanna we just dropped one on where she's talking about her fast season. She said, I'm in my fast season, which I love. Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for coming on, Kayleigh. It was great to see you.
Yes, thank you.
In real life, since
and everybody needs to watch the YouTube channel because her hair color is so pretty. So
it is so pretty, and your curls are so pretty.
It keeps like shining in the light, and I'm like, is that your natural color? I know
it's in there, but
it's pretty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hop on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can give a hair. Everybody needs to do hair tutorials.
It's cute.
I need help.
I don't know that I'm
Whatever.
I'm getting mine done this week. I'm like
That's
hoping
so
a miracle
exciting.
happens.
Yeah.
It is exciting.
That's like a pamper moment. Like those are my favorite. I'm like, oh, massage my head 5 extra minutes. I'll tip you better.
I know. I wish they added that. Like I could do an add-on. I'm sure if I asked her,
If you
but then
ask
it would
her,
feel creepy.
no,
I
it
shouldn't.
wouldn't. You're like, hey,
No?
I'll tip you a little bit more if you massage my head. I always ask all the time. I'm like, please,
Oh,
I've had a
really?
long week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They would
Scalp
get weird.
massages are amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do it.
Do it.
I'm going to do it. I've learned so much, including that in this conversation.
there you go.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.